different worlds. We have our own separate lives. We live in two different worlds. We have our own separate lives. We're gonna party forever. I wanna party with you. We're gonna party forever until the sun shines through. We're gonna party forever. I wanna party with you. We're gonna party together until the sun shines through. Let's party.
'Cause you're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been dreaming of. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You got the look, you got the style. I'd like to be you for a while. People watching every move you make. You make a smile with every picture they take. 'Cause you're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been dreaming of. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You got the girls, you got the boys, you got the cars, and you got the toys. You cause a scene wherever you go, telling everybody you know you're a superstar. You're a superstar. You're a superstar. That's what you are. 'Cause you're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been dreaming of. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You got the look, you got the style. I'd like to be you for a while. You cause a scene wherever you go, telling everybody you know. 'Cause you're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been dreaming of. You're a superstar. You got the face that they've been looking for.
save it for the morning after. Liquor going down like a Friday night. Gunpowder, stick of dynamite. I'm a little firecracker. Say what you like, me. I don't mind. I don't mind. 'Cause I like drinking. I like drinking. On the weekend. From a club up. I like drinking. Not just on the weekend. From a club up. With the good stuff. Yeah. I drink too much and I don't sleep enough. I drink too much and I don't sleep enough. I don't wanna stop when I get the taste. I've been walking my head like drunk for days. Honey, I'ma drink to that, yeah. Chin chin, I know how to
Hey,
make
guys.
you smile. Fire water, Apache style.
Oh, sorry about that. My phone rang literally right as I hit the go live button. Sorry about that. Hey guys, ads are dropping. Oh, they're already going. Okay, great. Welcome in, everybody. Showtime, 3 minutes, and we're going to get ready to go. All right. Welcome in. Talking Track is live with your ultimate G6 entry guide V2. Coming up in 3 minutes. Welcome into the show.
With the good stuff, yeah. I drink too much and I don't sleep enough. I drink too much and I don't sleep enough. Don't get high on conversation. This is not an invitation. You know what? If you got half empty, let's fill it up.
Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome in, everybody. What's going on? My name is UltimatDJz. Talking Track is live. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. Good evening. Thank you so much for being a part of our live studio audience. Got a great show lined up for you tonight. The Talking Track Lab Rats have got everything prepared. What a great teaching episode that we got planned for you guys tonight. We're very, very excited about that. I'd like to welcome you guys all in. Who is here? Who is here? Who's in the live studio audience? It is time for the ever-elusive Talking Track server sound-off. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks, but I would like to rope you guys in and find out where you guys are hailing from here today. Gherkin kicks us off on European 184, Stradalorian on 9, Dr. Juby on 61, thank you, Royal Power on 36, Noon Whistle on server 29, Benny Hill's Ghost on 42, Tarpitude landing on server 30, thank you, Jules Vern on 44, Scalyback from the Outback on 188, White Wolf on 33, what's going on? Appreciate that. Jondrel on 32, Broken Wolf on 99 and 137, welcome in. Appreciate that. Tony Pie on 86, Bender the Robot on 51, Warjarine on 188, Angry Lou on 36, Silver Tab on 33, Captain Taylor on 27. What's going on? Striker on 49. How you doing? Enterprise on server 30. Grouchy Outlaw on 84. Omega Prime on 102. 00. Oh, I was reading your name and I got very confused. What's up, Zero? How you doing? Betty Hill, thank you again. 42. You got me. See, everyone, there's always a trickster in every group, Griffin. There's a trickster in every group. Got me. He got me. Sugar Red on server 74, Strider on 30, Q-Dog 701, your way on server 30, thank you. White Wolf on 33, Victor on 49, MJ on 36. Yo, Anubis dropping a 5-bomb there. Thank you so very much. Appreciate that. Turmoil on 63, BW Burn on 701. Covergeist on European 176. Thank you. Turmoil. Appreciate that. Plugster 188. Angel Grinder on 701. Zeus on 31. Caledon 89. Thank you guys very much. Pirate Yar on 34. Anubis dropping in on 201. Skippy on 26. Funsucker on 71. Harold dropping in on YouTube. Thank you on server 53. Thank you. The lizards be popping off in here tonight. Thank you guys, everybody. Welcome into the show. My name is UltimatDJz. This is Talking Trek. How are you guys? Welcome.
The podcast of Star Trek Fleet Command.
That's right. The official podcast of Star Trek Fleet Command. We appreciate you guys all being here. Good evening. Thank you guys so very much. Griffin, hello. How are you? Welcome into the stage. How are you?
I am great. Happy Thursday to you and everybody out there. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I've completely given up on upgrading my Vengeance after having done the math, and I've instead decided to buy a $7,000 toilet.
Oh, wait, what? Okay, let's take everybody by surprise. Thank you for the pre-show notes on that. Wait, you bought a you did not. First of all, how does a toilet cost $7,000?
Well, you got to run 240 to it. It's got a heated seat.
What?
It's got a bidet. It's got an air dryer to, dry you off as soon as you're done. And you get to name it whatever you want.
Do
you pay $300 per component?
Per flush.
$300 per flush. White Wolf
the only
says
thing, there's a 100% guarantee that the flush will work every time instead of a 25% chance that you might have to flush a second time.
Oh, well.
But you do realize there's only 5 flushes cap.
Yeah, so you really gotta make them count. So on Tuesday, my new toilet, the Vengeance, will be installed in my master bathroom, and I can't wait for it.
That's amazing and exciting and fun stuff. 7,000. Johnny says Vengeance or a $7,000 toilet, 6 one, half dozen of the other. That's actually not even. It's
I
not
could
accurate.
buy almost 3. I could buy almost 3 of those toilets and still not have maxed my Vengeance.
Yeah, that's it, Vic. Everywhere, soiled bottoms are rejoicing. I know. It's absolutely. C Engineering says he's given up on the Vengeance. It costs so much because he needs it to work on the moon. So yeah, well, it's Planet Ingram. Okay, so the gravity's a little different over there.
If you don't have the Toto 3000 Ultra with the tornado cyclone technology to flush, unfortunately, the doo-doo goes up instead of down.
I got you. Well, you don't want to have that kind of a mess over there. Yeah, absolutely.
No, you do not.
Well, we appreciate the update there.
Yay,
so you're done with the Vengeance?
Well, I'm at a solid tier 10 right now, and until we see some additional crazy efficiencies or other, the one click at a time. Did you guys see that the other day on Tuesday when we did a little extravaganza and it took literally like 20 minutes to upgrade one ship component and $300? Man, that's just a little too rough. Why do that when you could sit in the lap of, when you approach the Vengeance, the lid opens on its own.
Wait.
There's a nice little light on the inside.
Hold on. When you approach the Vengeance.
Yeah, the new toilet I'm getting put in. When you approach the Vengeance, the lid opens automatically, and then the light comes on the inside, and the seat is already preheated. Talk about your ultimate captain's chair, ladies and gentlemen.
You named your toilet the Vengeance.
Well, yeah, because thanks to keeping it at tier 10, I could then afford said toilet, the Vengeance.
So you named. It's an
really
honor.
Actually, that's only a coincidence. I want to be clear. It's only a coincidence. It's because when I have to use the restroom, I want to say I'll be back with a Vengeance, and that would make sense.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You will forever be pooping on the Vengeance.
Yes, I will. I'll be taking a crap on the Vengeance until the day I die. That has a lifetime warranty.
I got nothing, folks. I can't. Yeah, take a dump on the Vengeance. That's it. The Vengeance, the legendary toilet. This is mind-boggling to me. I appreciate the forewarning on that. Thank you for hijacking the first moments of the show today with such ridiculous news. I appreciate that. I had planned stupid news. I don't need to now. All right, Griffin delivered. Everybody.
You can't top that stupid news. That's the stupidest of all time.
Everything is fine. Everything is good. Oh, my goodness gracious. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. My name is UltimatDJz. This is Griffin, sipping on his Ghost Energy Peach flavored. Griffin, absolute worst flavor that they offer is peach. I'm glad that you like it. That proves that there's a flavor for everybody, and you might be able to find yours by using !Ghost in the chat right now. You'll be able to click on a link and be taken straight over to our store, where you'll have an opportunity to shop any one or more of the 22 available flavors for you and support Talking Trek in the process. Ghost Energy has 200 milligrams of natural caffeine from coffee beans in every single drink, 1,000 milligrams of carnitine for epic energy, legendary focus, and none of the crash. You can find yours today at !Ghost and hop on over to our Amazon store, where you can also support Talking Trek by doing your normal everyday household shopping right there and using the Amazon link to support our show. Appreciate that. Griffin, any news from the Ghost front on new and improved flavors?
Yes, we have our brand new Sour Strips Rainbow flavor back for 2025. That is out and ready to go. And that is available at your retailer or Amazon, anywhere. So check that out. And in January, we have a brand new mystery flavor that's coming. Of course, we have the raspberry cream. Word on the street is we might see a blueberry cream coming in January.
Oh, fantastic. I am actually really excited because finally iced tea lemonade is available in my local area. And that is still, to this day, that is my absolute
Get it now.
favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite flavor. I love that one. It is that is the number one flavor that I love. The iced tea lemonade.
Well, pal, the warehouse is empty and they stopped making it. So
what?
Grab every can you can.
No, you are lying to me.
That was a limited time only offering, and the warehouse is done. The manufacturing is finished. I would go to your local Winco, wherever you shop over there, and grab them all right now. And drink at least 2 to 3 of them a day. I know I will. How else will I be able to be hydrated enough to take a whiz on my vengeance at least twice a day?
Limit 2, all right? Or there could be certain medical side effects, all right? I'm not claiming I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, when I had 3, I was having palpitations. All right, so I'm going to limit myself to 2 a day from here on out. But I did have one earlier today, and that was my iced tea lemonade. You're breaking my heart right now. I'm going to go to the store and buy them all tomorrow. You guys can't have any more. I'm buying them all.
It'll be back in the summer of 2026. Don't worry. As well, a number of new flavors coming in the year 2026.
And you guys will be able to find any and all of those flavors at !Ghost. Thank you guys very much for that. Tonight, we've got a very special guest on the stage. You've already heard him a couple of times popping in, ladies and gentlemen. He is the mad scientist Jules Vern, ladies and gentlemen. He is here to teach you a little bit about G6. It's only been out for 2 years. Old hat, right? Maybe not. The game has changed.
2-year anniversary.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, he is
Mad scientist with a gleam in his eye, Jules Vern unraveling the why. Starship soaring through cosmic dread, Talking Trek where the fleet has fled. Warp core humming under the stars, resources gathered from nebulous spars.
Man,
teaching
Griffin, you're
us
amazing.
tactics like a sly magician. Galaxy conquest becomes our mission.
Jules Vern. Thank you so very much for being here. Good evening to you. Welcome in.
Thank you.
A little surfing with 2 hands on drums for you.
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic there. Absolutely amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got your screen share up, and I can see your desktop right now. That looks like, if we look off in the distance there, Jules, that looks like the landscape possibly from the far mountain of the southern continent of planet Ingram. Is that what we were seeing?
Oh, he's not invited. No. I have an exclusive license to live on planet Ingram.
I was trying to find it,
Ingram.
obviously, in the galaxy.
That's not true.
That's my galaxy
Fake
view.
news. Fake
Fantastic. Well, Jules, listen, we've been talking about this for actually several weeks now. Today's the day. The Welcome to G6 edition. We're going to try to get through this, folks, as condensed and quickly as possible so that we can make it into a good piece of content for you guys to be able to reference back to at any particular time. This would be good for those of you in G5 who are approaching the G6 threshold, or those who are already at 60, 61, that are looking for some of the things that you need to know as you progress through. Maybe you're an Ops 45 that says, man, G6 is forever away. You know, Jules, it's not as forever as it was 2 years ago. And so that is one of the reasons that we wanted to make this a good condensed piece of content for you guys to be able to get into and reference back at any particular time. So as we tape the podcast tonight, our alerts are turned off, our overlays are turned off, our chat is turned off, and we're going to be able to turn this into an absolutely amazing, wonderful YouTube educational video. So with that, I welcome to the stage our esteemed educator and guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Before I do that, I got a story for you.
Oh God! Here we go. Half an hour later.
No, actually, the Discord stage is turned off too. I got that fixed. Thank you. Hey, actually, real quick before we start, we'll do a little bit of a splice right there at the beginning because I have an announcement, and that was a great video introduction, so I don't want to do it again. But I do have.
If you do say so yourself.
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. Thank you. And I did just get a text message from a friend of mine who is actually in the chat right now, but didn't want to write in the chat, said, "Holy cow, you're unbelievable. You were built for radio. That Ghost Energy ad you just did was," hold on, time down. "That Ghost Energy ad you did was legit incredible." I mean, that was, thanks. Appreciate that. Obviously, he's not a genuine, normal watcher of this channel. He's probably just tuning in to get dirt on me to spread to the team at work tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Ban him. I'm going to ban him. Anyway, listen, no, I do have announcements for you very quickly before we get into the teaching. I did get clearance to share this with you guys. Inside the game, we saw the repeat, Jules, and sorry, I didn't brief any of you guys on this, so I apologize. We saw the repeat of the group Armada event, and if I'm not mistaken, Jules, the rewards were shifted up a little bit. The big thing that I have to say about this is you guys know that our good buddy Echo wrote the last arc, and he was writing a lot of events, and he was doing this targeted experience. But one of the driving pieces of feedback, and Griffin, you had mentioned it on the show the other night. Jules, I know that you've talked about it. We all share this position. One of the driving pieces of feedback was we just felt like the rewards were not quite there. This month.
Too stingy.
They were a little bit light. And I don't know exactly what the reasoning for that was. I don't know what the math was behind it, but I did have a chance to discuss that and speak to our good buddy Echo about that. And so he told me that he was going to try to make a couple of adjustments. All right. Now, they made a few adjustments. They didn't make all the adjustments. But for example, we saw in the Armada event today, which is, was it yesterday? Sorry, you guys are, the Pioneer's Crest showed up in Armada Destruction that ended yesterday, or ended earlier today, rather. I'm here to tell you, first of all, that your feedback was heard on Crucible of War. That will be back tomorrow. All right, Crucible of War coming back tomorrow. Good job. We'll get that back. Also, Jules, I had to poke a little bit of fun at Echo for this because, a little bit, IJ. I had to poke a little bit of fun at Echo on this because one of the final events of the arc was the solo Armada event that had temporal disruptors in it. I'm sorry. I promised I wasn't going to. It had temporal disruptors in it. I'm not going to laugh and make fun. It had temporal disruptors in it, which I think we felt like that was a miss, right? That event is returning tomorrow.
That is all. You spent all your credits.
No, that event is returning tomorrow. Benny Hill says it might as well have had original OG Par Steel in it. Snack Attack says, "Oh God, that event is returning tomorrow." However, the rewards have been reworked. All right. I actually spent a little bit of time with Echo today, and what we were discussing was a way to enhance those rewards without going like, listen, I tried to get 50 badges loaded up into that thing. That didn't work. Shiz says, wait, did they finally add more temporal disruptors to that thing? Tarpy says, no, they're going to add G4 gas. We're pretty excited about that. Omega says original Par Steel. What a burn. No, actually, and I've been cleared to share this with you. It was not my number one choice, but I do feel like it was a very solid a very solid improvement. I hope that some of you guys agree. The currency that we landed on was actually planetary charts. All right. Now, there was a couple of reasons that I went with this one. Echo gave me some options, and I looked at several of these, and I decided that out of the ones that I had the option with, and this is one of those scenarios where someone out there, Griffin, is going to be upset and say, well, that's still bad, but this was what I had to work with him on, and I felt like planetary charts was a good one. Now, for those who are not quite sure what planetary charts are, those are the currencies used to start the new Priority 1 ATAs. The reason that this was, the reason that I wanted to go with this one, all right, Retrieving says, planetary charts are great for free to play. Thank you for saying that, Retrieving, because that was one of my thoughts. Here was the big reason that I chose this one, all right? I chose this one because of the cap. Simple, hard stop, that was it. I chose it because of the cap. Tarpy says she's still unimpressed, but I'm here to tell you, I personally would much rather have extra stuff beyond a cap. All right. Pal says the currency that has a cap that you chose, talk about tone deaf. No, Pal, that's exactly why I chose it. All right. Because
you can exceed the cap.
You can exceed the cap. All right. An event reward will allow you to exceed the cap. All right. Skippy says, I'm sitting on 5,200, another useless reward. Nope. Here's why I say not. No, well, first of all, I also try to sit around 5,000, but I'm going to tell you a story, Skippy. All right. I try to sit around 5,000. That way I can double pull. Okay. That way I can double pull. All right. So for those of you who know that little side hack there. But no, how dear, I don't know. Yes, planetary charts, the things that you start the new Priority 1 ATAs with. All right. And the reason that I did that is Mimi says it means that you instantly burn whatever winnings you get. Well, you can. Okay? You can. But if you can exceed the cap. All right, let me just ask this question. And maybe I struck out, but before you guys get all haterade on me, all right, just know that this was what I chose. And Scopely let me choose, and I chose. So I'll own it if you don't like it. All right? But that's exactly right, Shiz. The reason that I chose this one is because you never know when you're going to get that solid epic. Or even worse, I saw you guys say the other day that I saw 2 or 3 players mention this, and by the way, it's happened to me as well. I had just started like a rare or maybe 2 rares, okay? And on my very next refresh, I pulled a cons challenge. Strider says, I've never run out of those. Well, I get that. I don't let myself run out of them either. All right. The problem was the cap is 5,000. Jules, the fact that a cons challenge costs 4,000 and you can't exceed your cap literally means that you have to keep a bank all the time. Well, if you wanted to start an epic, you can't. You can't.
But Caledon has it right, though. They're, to some players, cons champions or the cons actual ATA may not be worth it because it either can just be an officer that you already have maxed, and then you're just looking at 1,000 of the actual fleet commander credits, which maybe they're easier or cheaper to obtain through just grinding Reliant or grinding the Augment Exiles, or you've already done with all of Fleet Commander Con, and that ATA has 0 value to you. So I don't know if like the cons ATA is probably the thing to
that I might have missed out. I might have missed this one.
Well, it depends on where you are in the game. The counterpoint to that, Jules Vern, there's plenty of people who would love to get the benefit from running a cons challenge and being successful. Many players have not even accomplished that yet to reach that point of the game. So you can't kick yourself in the mud, DJs. I understand why you made that choice out of all available choices.
I was also thinking about that crit reward, right? You've got a 50-50 shot at 100 plus officer shards, so I thought that out of the options that I had, which were not numerous, but I thought that because of the cap and because of the issues faced by cons challenge, this is what I chose. If you guys are mad about it, then that's fine. You guys have been very mad for like the last 2 months, all right? But if you're mad about it, this one's on me. All right.
But
Right.
I think that's not what they're mad about. I imagine that you had lots of other options and a lot of them were bad. And I think that is actually what we're mad about, really. Is
It's
that
not
just
like G6
overall
rare ship
events?
parts was an option. Let's get that right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's true.
sure. Or choice tokens, or Officer Depot tokens, or there's lots of other currencies that have a lot of value to every player. But I think what we as a community are mainly upset by is just the lack of incentivizing event rewards.
Okay, is a first-time chatter. First-time chatter, and he comes in and says, DJ, garbage rewards. Damn it! Here I am making good first impressions. Sorry, okay. I'm trying to make good, solid first impressions. IJ says how many? There are going to be a few thousand of them. Okay. Now, again, this is a solo leaderboard, so it's going to scale, but at the top end, it's going to be several thousand. So, again, my thinking was the cap. All right. I would like a currency. I chose this one specifically because of the cap. We hate caps. And honestly, that's what I was thinking about when I chose this one. We hate caps. We always complain about currencies that are capped, and we want to be able to exceed those caps for whatever reason, whether it's planning, whether it's hoarding. Now, I do want to point out, I saw this just a second ago. Goodness. Guru, here it is. Guru says 10 days is a lot of speed ups, and I don't want to run the clock with those officers. I do remind you, if it matters, okay, that a Khan's challenge uses regular speed ups, not the new Sigma ones. Okay, so I don't know if that's what you're looking at. But if you were looking at an Epic, for example, that costs 2,000, then yes, those would be using the new Sigma things. So in all fairness, that was what I did. Sugar Red says he's going to skip it. I hate that. I will probably play, but yeah, that was why I did it. Okay. Magu says people who don't play the game should not choose the reward. Magu, are you giving me shade right now? Jules, get that ish off my screen right now. This is Jules. Jules is driving tonight. I don't even get to do it. Yeah, Magu, do all of Pack not play the game? I play the game, and this was hashtag blame Pack. You don't have to blame Pack. You can squarely blame me on this one, Magu. But I do my ATAs. I've always loved ATAs, and I hate the freaking cap. All right, so my fault. My bad.
So what you're saying is that there needs to be a prime to double the cap. Scopely?
Oh, Jesus. All
Come
right.
on.
You can blame me. Tobias says, how rare is a Khan's challenge pop up? It's pretty rare.
It is rare. I've only had 2.
I have I think I've had 3. And
You can see your percentage
and one of them I
in
haven't
your
even been.
research tree.
Yeah, it's very low. It's like 3% or 5% or something like that. I think I've had 3. The problem, and I'm going to tell you straight now, I've only been able to run one of them. I've only been able to run one, Magu, and that's exactly my point. I've had 3 of them pop, and I couldn't even start 2 of them because of the cap. So if I missed the mark, then you guys can squarely blame me. Echo
Hey,
gave me
it's
the,
better
gave me-
than
he gave
one
me the- he gave me
command
the option.
badge. Okay, so we have made an improvement.
Well, the one command badge will still be there. I did try to get them to budge on
Really?
that. No judgment. Okay? I tried to push
Hey,
them
at
on
least
the
it's
badge.
still in there.
I tried to push them on the badge. I didn't win that argument yet. All right, but it's still but at least the one is still there. You do still have the one that's still there. All right, they didn't take it out, but I didn't get it increased either. All right, so
I think we should probably move on before you get lit on fire and pitchforked.
Really? I cannot believe that you guys are this. You know what? Whatever. I think you guys are just flaming me now. I think you guys are just trolling with me now. That's what I think. All right. Also, I just got a text that says a friend of mine has that same $7,000 toilet.
See? It's a great,
No.
it's a great toilet.
Oh my gosh! Why do toilets cost $7,000? That is unbelievable.
Well, if you're going to have a captain's chair, have a good captain's chair. Heated seat, nightlight.
Now, in fairness, all right, I'm going to say this one last thing, Jules. the rewards are different. They definitely feel different. If we look at the entire thing, rewards feel different. I've definitely noticed that we are seeing less resources and materials, and I think that we've noticed that. I don't know if the resource and materials are coming out of the choice tokens, coming out of the battle passes, etc. But the traditional event rewards, we are not seeing resources and materials. We're seeing a more diversification, building materials, the temporal disruptors things, the badges, and all this other stuff. So that I think is why we're seeing some of this experimentation. And again, I am going to give him credit. At least he called and he asked, and he was trying to make an effort. All right, and that's what Echo was trying to do today. He called and he said, "Listen, I don't want to do it again. I want them to know I'm hearing it. I want them to know that I see the feedback." Obviously, he's got a boss too. Everything has to be signed off on, but he's trying to find different combinations of rewards that feel less bad. And so when we were discussing those today, that's ultimately what I went with. So again, I will apologize. I thought that would be less bad. I thought that would be a winning option there. But if that is not something that's important to you, then like any other event, as Captain Bull just mentions, if it's not a reward that's valuable to you, then yet again, you can sit another one out. But at least this one will have some value to some players, which is admittedly better than the last one. There was no value to any player on the last one. Zinger.
There you go.
Okay, so there you go. J-Babe says, DJs, no apology needed for me. I'm good with it. Well, thank you. So far, I think you're like the second person that's actually said that you're okay with it. Thank you. I appreciate that. The premium dust will still be there, Rick, with the command badge, and that's I believe, in the ALB. So the ALB rewards were not modified this time. So what was that one last time, Jules? That was the premium dust and the command badge, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so the ALB will still be there. So you still have your command badge. You still have the premium mirror dust that will be in the ALB tomorrow, but the solo leaderboard will have planetary charts. So there you go. Like it or love it, or not.
Everybody needs planetary charts. Everybody needs them at some point or another.
And by the way, for those of you who say you never run out, why don't you run out?
You're not running enough.
No, I don't run out either, but I play it very strategically. I keep myself at 5,000, so I try to start one or two a day that keep me around that 4,000 to 5,000 mark so that I can do the pulls and still potentially be able to run an epic or a cons challenge if it shows up. So, and by the way, if you're doing Silosh, if you're doing that, if you're hovering around 5,000 and you're doing the double pull, that does help you with the speed ups a little bit, plus cons favor, all that stuff helps with the speed ups a little bit. So that's why I've tried to do that. And I don't ever run, a bunch at a time. I usually only run like one at a time or maybe two. And that's why. So again,
what's
my
your
bad.
away team research look like right now? Where are you at with your away team's research? Because you have to need Pioneer's Crests, and that's the number one way of getting Pioneer's Crest. If you're averaging 5,000, if you're not bringing yourself down to 1,000, you're not running enough of these rare Priority 1 18As.
1,000, that's too low for me because I want to be able to run an epic if I see it, or like I said, I've been trying to keep myself at a position where I might be able to do a cons challenge. So I do run them. I do every single day, but that's why I'm working that cap. So I thought being able to exceed the cap and start some extras one day might be a nice thing. So anyway, sorry if we miss it, then if that one's a miss, then you guys can blame me on that one. All right, Scopely's done a lot of it, the rest of it this month, but this one I will own. I'm always very transparent when I do something good or if I do something bad. I always own it. We don't need to talk about Forbidden Tech. But there you go. See, look, Bender ran a cons quest tonight. See? Now, what would have happened if you didn't have the 4,000?
Move along.
Okay.
We're
18
putting
minutes on
Wolfwood to
this.
sleep. Okay, let's go. Oh, he's got a stopwatch on you, DJs. Look out.
Fluffer Time says I had 45 minutes. I still have 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
And we
Speaking
haven't even
of Fluffer
talked
Time,
about we haven't even talked about the fabulous new offerings in the officers tab, Jules.
Well, he did, the last pod.
But now they're officially live today.
Wait, what?
Yay.
Yeah, go. We have
They're in
511.
transporter patterns now.
Oh,
we've
they-
got
they
Strange
launched
World on,
today?
The Borg Queen, Hugh, Wayun, and Gold Ducat, all in your transporter.
I need badges to upgrade
transporter
them.
patterns.
Can we get some badges?
God bless it, Karkin. Stop it. Shut up.
No, don't shut up, Karkin. Speak louder. I agree.
Specifically command
I
badges?
could use a good. I could
Okay.
use a good 30 command badges right now, minimum.
I could also use command badges. Hey, there's an opportunity to earn one tomorrow. You can earn one tomorrow.
Well,
Okay.
I went to the school of Panda and hitting 99 on my mess hall.
Oh,
But I
congratulations.
still want to upgrade these officers.
That's good. All right. Yeah, no. Karkin is fine. I hear the command badge thing. Pal says I need 50 command badges. I hear you on the command badge thing. I did ask for that. Just wasn't in the cards this time.
Yes, Sugar. I was so bored today. I actually maxed my Wayun. That's how many of these transporter patterns we have in the bank, right, DJs?
Wait, Skippy is blaming me for the cost of tiering the Vengeance and G5 scrapping? Bro, what? You're right. You guys
You
forget.
even got your own hashtag. Hashtag blame DJ.
You guys
with a Z.
forget
That's
that
you.
Keenser's my mom. All right, I run this show. Okay. By the way,
my gosh.
Connor, that is me.
Oh,
all right,
here we go
It's
again.
an AI. I just do it. I hit my Irish button. Ta-da! I'm Connor.
Perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. G6, the 2025 edition of the entry guide to G6 space. Jules, things have changed in the last couple of years. Let's get into how the game has changed and what players who are either approaching Op 61 or are already at Op 61, what is it that they need to know as they approach the game's latest generation?
Yeah, I just wanted to start off with saying a big thanks to Tarpy, to Putz, to Quazel, and a lot of other people in the Talking Trek lab room for helping compile this. Speaking of, I know that we're sitting here as 3 Op 70s giving advice on early G6, so I didn't think that was the best approach. So I actually brought in somebody who is an early G6. Putz, how you doing? You doing all right in there?
I am doing great now. I am
Better than the
just
deer.
fine. Better than the deer. That is true.
Putz sends a text message literally 10 minutes before airtime and says, crap, I'm going to miss the show. I just hit a deer.
Yeah, that happens. The deer is no more. I didn't actually kill the deer. The state trooper had to put it out of its misery.
Oh, God.
But, it's in deer heaven now, and my car is at
Do you
the
get to
tow
keep the
shop.
meat?
Oh,
Tear that up on your car and take home dinner.
No, the meat will be donated. The county that I hit it in, the meat will be donated to a food pantry.
Oh, well, okay.
They probably already picked it up. Yeah.
That's good. At least it
But I'm
won't
here.
go to waste. Did the deer kill your car?
Oh, the deer smashed in my front. I instantly lost all of my radiator fluid. I had antifreeze everywhere. There's 2 holes in my my hood that have fur in them. Yeah. So left front quarter panel, front grill, hood. Yeah.
I might know someone who might be able to help you out finding another car. I don't know. I'll have to put in a couple of calls. But if you need something, I might know a guy. All right, I know a lot of people. So
Well, I'll reach out to you, buddy. If I'm carless come tomorrow.
Sounds good.
And the insurance won't give me a rental.
You got it. All right, got you
Putz
unlocked.
is a Bleeding Heart, California, and I'll tell you, the deer didn't do anything. The deer was standing there. That's all the deer did.
No. Let me tell you. I came up over a hill.
Is that
and I
Mrs.
saw
Putz
the
laughing
first
in the
deer. I saw
background?
the first deer. No, that's my wife. We're in the car. I'm
That's
still
Mrs.
not even
Putz.
home yet.
You're not even. Wait,
Yeah.
Mrs. Putz she had to come get you. Oh Lord.
She had to come get me. Yes. So I was driving up over a hill, and about 100 feet away, I see a deer on the side of the road, and it starts stepping out. I slam on my brakes, and that deer made it across, and then 2 other deer, and I am going to guess that they were their children because I hit the last one, and it was a yearling.
No.
And and I hit it.
You got
I
Bambi.
hit it on the left-hand side, like I barely missed it, or I barely got hit.
Oh.
It-
Oh.
It didn't have white spots, so it was still a yearling. It wasn't a fawn.
Oh.
And now
Yes.
now the deer will be
Skippy
haunting you
says,
for the next
"Stop
30 years, like
talking,
Annabelle
you
Orton.
horrible person." Yeah.
Are you?
Right.
Wait,
Can we call you
Deal?
Anakin?
That's it. Ooh.
You murdered a youngling. Can we call you Anakin?
Yeah. I'm Anakin. I'm
Oh,
Anakin.
my
I killed a
gosh.
youngling.
That's awesome. Hey, John.
Well, I'm
how
glad
are
to
you?
hear that you're okay, Putz.
We are glad to hear that you're okay.
I
All
have
right.
specific points in
Putz?
which I'll call you.
Unlike Bambi, who's
Yeah,
We're
no
going to
problem.
check in
I'm here.
with Anakin there. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
getting back off of the human slaughtering innocent animals bit for a moment. We'll get into our G6 guide. So, Putz, you did a lot of prep on this as well, right? It's what we were driving at. Get it?
Yeah. I mean, we were driving at that.
Boom!
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Whew, that was good.
I chose to go G6 mainly because I was done with a lot of stuff, but more importantly, a month ago, Jules said, "Hey, we want to do this," and I said, "Okay, I will plan on going G6 and pushing as hard and as fast as I can, and I'll do that. I'll try to do that 2 weeks out before we do the show. So I'm actually at day 12 of being in G6, and I'm an Op 64.
Well, wow. Congratulations. It's a big, quick jump. So how did you know that you were ready?
How did I know I was ready? Well, I probably was ready 3 months ago.
Your water
But
breaks, doesn't it?
Yeah. My water broke, Karkin. You're exactly right. But how I knew was A, I was getting kind of bored, and B, everything got so darn easy. I was hitting like nothing was. I was barely getting scratched on anything I was hitting or anything I could get to hit, and I really wanted to move up and push up. So yeah, I hatched a plan and followed it through, and I'm technically on day, like I said, I did a 10-day pre 60 plan, and now I'm 12 days in.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big point that I wanted to make with this updated version here is that the game has changed so much that the actual entry point into G6 is less painful to the point where you could probably get several ops in the first few weeks, as Putz is pointing out here. And I do want to kind of target this presentation a little bit more to the players who are rapidly progressing through G5 and be like, hey, I don't want to wait at 60 at all. I don't want to wait to build G5 Epic. I want to go right away. What do I need? What do I actually need to get there? And this isn't like a camp list. This is not a list to do. This is just, hey, these are like some things that you may want to think about before going up or before you get there. So the first thing is 900 warp is the base warp system for G6. So 61 level systems have 900 warp. How can you get there? Well, you can get there with either the Disco and a Prime, Eviscerator. You can use tools like Officers, like Grush, or the Slipstream, or there's also a couple of Chaos Tech that are available, and even a prototype tech. The Fleet Commander Kirk has a skill, and you can also use ships that have a very high warp range, including NX-01, and relocating your base to actually use your viable warships or even miners in those systems. Then the other things to kind of think about are bracket changes. But first, kind of briefly talking about warp range itself. I have a small chart here. Again, this link has been posted in the Twitch chat. I'll post it again here in a minute. And this will also be associated with the video that comes out as well. So you can kind of reference these charts later on. But these are the warp range possibilities. If you just use, say, a Fleet Commander Kirk and your command center is only 50, then here is the warp ranges that you can reach. So your warships, none of your warships are going to natively get there. You're going to need something like a high tier Eviscerator or a Disco with the Prime Disco warp range. Luckily now that's available through the Augment faction and Alliance tournaments. So there's a couple of different ways to start building up that Disco warp range, and this can be a big help very early on. Additionally, if you're thinking about mining, we'll kind of talk about mining in a minute and why you definitely need to have a Selkie. But you could get G5 rares up there as long as they are high tier enough. So it kind of shows you that. If you start using tools like adding Grush on there, adding Quantum Slipstream, again, also free to play, and Multiphasic Chamber, and including this the new Orion Syndicate, those things give you a little bit more boost to allow your warships to reach up there. So if you're a player who's already maxed their G5 rare, then using a couple tools can actually bring your G5 rare up to level 61 space without having to have a G5 epic. But even the G5 epics at a low tier can be quite potent. Some SLB brackets right now, I think when we did this a year ago, everything was 61 to 70. You were screwed when you went into 61 because you're competing with the whaliest of whales. And that is still, for the most part, true. Here's some recent SLB brackets. The Foundations of Power being a material spend bracket. That one was split up. But some of these other ones that can be more heroic or could be the mini daily, the limited time building and research upgrade, you're still competing with 70s in those brackets. So especially early on, you just know you're not going to win those brackets. So you maybe want a time when you're entering those saying, hey, once I hit 60, I'm going to hold to the next big auction, and then I'm just going to go wild into G6 and use that boost into G6 to kind of help me have places to spend materials and score points. For solo milestones, I don't have a ton of examples because STFC events page is broken. So these were just ones I was able to grab while they were live. Here's an heroic material spend event. You can see that's going to increase dramatically when you get up to 61, just from up 60 to 61. So if you just spent yourself down and you just barely got to 61, well, you may struggle on the next heroic. Again, we've always talked about heroics being things that you kind of have to pick and choose. Which ones are you going to play in? Which ones are you going to not? Sometimes you're just not going to be able to hit that very next one. And here's a grind example of a heroic SMS. And I know that we all have a lot of strong feelings about this, particularly the people in 69 and 70, but just kind of showing how these things can kind of ramp up at 61. So just kind of being aware of those solo milestone changes. If that's not a concern for you, push. This is an old screenshot of a hostile comparison. I think Putz, you kind of already were talking about it. You know, every hostile is trivial to you right now in the game. What I wanted to kind of find, and this is a year-old screenshot, so this is not even accurate to today's accounts, but what is like the lowest that you could do and still succeed in G6 space? So you can see here hitting a 61. This is a mirror universe. This is going to start giving you some Sigma speed ups. The lower G6 mirror universe hostiles don't give a lot, but it's going to give you some of those things, some credits. And also the silent enemies, which you'll immediately need to hit because it requires a different currency to continue pulling that bundle. But again, if you don't like temporal disruptors like DJs, then you maybe want to skip the silent enemies altogether. So maybe this isn't a concern for you at all. But just know that there's a lot more tools in the game than there were 2 years ago. And the scaling of those hostiles to be hard for people that were 2 years ago, they're definitely not going to be hard today. So do not be scared about the hostiles. Choose your best crew. Even these crews that were a year old are still viable today. So choose your best crew and make your best success with those.
I have a quick question for you on that previous slide.
Ask.
Do you believe that as a player coming into G6 today, that the silent loop is a complete write-off? Is that a loop that can be completely avoided in today's game environment?
No, because there's parts that are available as a reward for that. And additionally, that just because we may be done with temporal disruptors doesn't mean other people are. We also have to remember that many the temporal artifacts have artifact gallery gates beyond G6. There's some that even require artifact gallery 70. So some players may not have accrued enough of those disruptors in time. They may still want to continue to get that from that source. So there's other reasons for that. Also, prime orbit medallions come from that. I know that they're rare, but they do. So not necessarily completely write off silent enemies for some players, but this content does cap out at level 65. So not op 65 as in like the hostiles cap out at 65. So we may feel as high G6 that they don't have any value, but they may still for people who are rushing through. I also want this video to kind of be broad enough to support new servers who are progressing much faster through all of generations of gameplay. They may get to G6 within 2 years, starting from 0, even as a low spend or even possibly as a free to play. what content are they going to still need to be engaged in? Silent enemies will be one of those. I hope that answered your question. I'm just going to flip through some of these charts. Please look back at these if you want more information. The last one a year ago had a lot of missing chunks, so this is all full. Essentially, you're getting rare parts, and I'm going to just talk about the rares because those are the things that are going to be the most required later on. You get rare parts at 63. You get rare materials at 64. These refineries, they're a joke in G5 and G4. I know that they've been upgraded since then, but now in G6, these still are major points and major payouts. There is a Section 31 favor that also doubles the amount of payouts from the ship parts. So this is actually something that you do want to kind of invest in. Getting those ship parts from the mirror universe is really useful. And also the silent enemy space drop ship parts, broken ship parts at a very high rate. So they're very useful still to grind, at least for broken ship parts, so that you can refine it here. And then later on, you can probably go through some of the hazard particles to get even more ship parts. What a G6 FKR
Jules, time out.
could be.
Hold on 1 second. Can we go back to production? We lost your screenshot, and we need to get that back on main.
Okay. This is the materials and parts refinery?
Yeah, I think so. You were there, then we lost you. DJs, are you there? Is DJs here, or is he on his vengeance?
I don't know who this DJ's guy is. Kicked him out for being a bad player.
Is that the Borg Kitty Cat? Kitty Cat, is that you?
Yeah, this is weird. It's not updating.
I haven't heard from that cat. I thought that cat was
there
dead.
we go. We're back. We're back.
All right, take from the top. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is just another comparison, and what this comparison is going to be helpful for is if you are pre-G6 and just wondering, can you actually hit an FKR G6 hostile? And they'll be important to hit these FKR hostiles, and I'll explain why for the dailies. You can test that by hitting a similar level of a mirror universe hostile. Even though the strength number is different, it doesn't really matter. They have the same battle capability. You can kind of see that here between these equal tests that I did here. Okay, so this is the big one, how to prepare for your jump. This is what the slide that probably most people want to be focused on. If you are even mid G5 player, what do you want to have ready? What do you want to start hoarding and saving? Things that get vastly better at Op 61. This is going to be your 7 and 30-day chest. Your ticketed events will start to include G6 materials. Treasury, those will definitely increase. Your multi-phasic credits if you are a spender. Your war chest keys, those will start to include G6 materials immediately upon going to Ops 61. And that doesn't matter what level your forge is at. Or your war room? Your war room. It doesn't matter what war room you're at. The emergency field rations, you can use these for the choice rewards. This would be in the resources tab on your gift section. So I would save up these emergency field rations for that. And then, of course, the event currencies that we're getting now, instead of getting all of these materials in a battle pass, which required you to ops up prior to the battle pass event starting, now they're giving you choice tokens, which means you can ops up in the middle of a month. And if you've saved those choice tokens, spend those after achieving Op 61 to get the Op 61 version of those choice tokens. So it's a good idea to not spend those right away, especially if you think you're going to ops up in the middle of an arc. Same thing with event store currencies. A lot more of our event stores are including materials and resources in them. And Sigma resources is going to be a big choke point for early G6. So getting that up. And then the last thing is the Transigen Forge bonus. This is another thing, and I believe there's going to be some other examples. I think Transigen Forge is the only one I can come up with that have resources and materials built into an upgrade gift. Well, if you do not claim those and you get your forge past a certain level, then you go to Op 61 and then claim those, they're going to have the G6 versions in there, including Sigma resources and G6 materials. So it's highly advantageous to not claim those right away. So those are your save and hoard lists. That's the big ones. Some other things to think about is to build up some building resources and construction time efficiencies. There is a couple of exocomps. that are very useful. The Alliance Exocomp for building efficiency. And then there is also the Transigen loop, which you can actually bank up some of those Transigen if you have the Serene Squall and can actually use Epic Transigen to save up and claim some of these construction time efficiencies, these building speed efficiencies. These are really going to be useful. And then, of course, there's going to be a lot of high Latin prices, and we'll kind of talk about that. This is for everyone in the panel. Do you think there's anything else that would be highly important for you to prepare for your jump? And then alternatively, if you also have like one or two highly valuable purchases for light spenders, what would be really helpful in early G6? This is for you, Putz. I'm tossing it to you. He may be dealing with a deer.
Putz hit another deer.
Bandy
boy.
wasn't dead. She wasn't dead. He's in the back of the seat.
I did see Tarpy lurking. Is Tarpy here?
Putz!
Looks like Tarpy had
I'm here.
to
What do you
go.
need?
So,
Sorry.
oh, no worries, Putz. I was just wondering, how did you prepare for your jump? What did you save and hoard? What do you think is highly effective with that you actually got to use the minute you turn off 61?
Okay, so one of the biggest things that I think that you need to do is to have enough of the prime particles to, as soon as you go 61, to do the disco prime that is ops locked at 61. That really changes the ball game, because with that and the warp crew, you can then get all the way up to 1300. And that really opens up the availability to bring in ships that probably can kill those ships. You just can't get there. That is probably my number one advice of what to do beforehand. Secondly, I would say you need to have your Revenant ready to scrap, and maybe even scrap it 10 days before you plan on going. That way you can collect all 10 of those chests and have all of those mats ready to go when you go. And maybe even have that loot for the Revenant stocked up enough to where going Mark III and putting on the refit, you'll still be able to do max pulls for those 10 days before you have a Mark III Revenant that can actually take on the epic parts.
Just going back for an insert,
The
when you
third
say when you have your warp crew, will you please name your warp crew? Thank you.
That would be Scotty, and Grush.
Yep, those are
So-
great pieces of advice. The disco warp range requires 1,000 prime valor emblems for those of you who are starting to bank those. Yep, those are two very good points to kind of save up, especially now that warp range prime is free to play and has multiple access points, both through the augment and through the alliance tournaments. It's going to be faster to obtain those.
One of the
quickly just
third
kind of going
thing
through. Yeah, go for it.
I was going to say there is a question in chat that I would like to ask regarding Putz, your recommendation. Would you want to spend the special Revenant chests so that they hit after 61, or would you want them at 60? Do those change with the generational switchover?
Those do not change. So the 10 chests that you get at each mark are the 10 are going to be the same thing, whether you claim them at whatever ops you're at. They will not change. So that's why I say do that beforehand. Have enough loot so that you're not running dry on that increased cost. You know, and that's pretty much it on the Revenant. The third thing that I did was I made a concerted effort for about 2 weeks before doing mirror universe runs in the 70 system. And I had the luxury of having a max G5 Epic, and I was able to do a full 30-minute run with a speed crew and killed over 160 hostiles per trip and got, on average, 8 to 9 15-hour speed ups. So I started my journey with about 60 days worth of speed ups in Sigma. And then for 7 days, the first 7 days, I made a concerted effort to go to the MU 3 times a day. And I ended up with another 150 some days of speed ups over the next 7 days.
Now,
So
also
as an
to
Ops 60 using a G5 Epic, what level of Mirror Universe hostiles were you hitting?
Oh, the level 70s in Romulus, Mirror
Yeah.
Romulus. Yeah, I'm waxing those, and I probably could have done it. I did a 30-minute run and still had half hull, so I probably could have done it with like a T9 or maybe a T10 and didn't need it to be maxed.
one of the
Right. I
other
would also
points
say-
of
yeah, go
clarity
for it.
in the chat was just to come back on that warp range crew, because there are a lot of Scotties now. Thank you, Mimi. What we're specifically talking about is Cadet Scotty, one of the earliest officers available in the game. So everybody should have very, very meaningful progression, if not maxed, on Cadet Scotty. The other one would be TOS Scotty. And then Grush, because we've actually got 2 other Scotties in the game now. So specifically, that would be Cadet Scotty, TOS Scotty, and Grush.
Yes, and I would agree. And I think that it's careful point to make that you were hitting the level 70s. I think if you do not have a G5 Epic, the level 70s are going to be difficult. 68s do drop a higher ratio of 15-hour speed ups than the 61 and 65s in the early Universe system. So those are all still areas in which, if you are a lower powered ship owner at the time that you're going into 61, let's say you're rushing directly from Ops 56 straight into 61 and 62, you may not have the ability to start that grind early. But things like what you suggested with the Revenant can actually provide some Sigma speed ups. And there's other aspects in this game, including I'm forgetting exactly which resources. Like I think the Serene Squall actually does give you some Sigma speed ups early on that can give you some of that head start boost in the Sigma speed up realm. And we'll kind of talk about the two. I do have a separate slide for that. I do want to kind of quickly go through some of our other charts. Just I wanted them to be in here, even though they don't really need to be discussed too much. The 7 and 30-day chest, one of the big reasons to go straight into Op 60, even if you're a G5 player and you haven't hit a max tier G5 Epic, well, it's going to be easier and faster to do that once you hit 61, because the 7 and 30-day chest have a massive increase to the uncommon and the rare payouts for G5 materials and G5 ship parts. So you get like a 3-fold increase in the rare G5 ship parts. You get a huge increase, a 4-fold increase in the rare G5 materials. Add on to that the boost you actually get from your syndicate level, and you're going to be seeing a much larger payout in G5 once you hit Op 61, making your catch-up mechanic a lot faster. So you can get that max G5 Epic much faster if you actually get into G6 right away. Here's also, we've got the materials conversion charts, and I think that this is a really important thing to bring up now that we don't need to bottleneck ourselves into thinking, hey, we only need crystal or I only need gas, and I'm going to diversify what ship I build to accommodate my different sources. Now we've got this conversion chart that can kind of help you get through these pinch points. So these charts are in here. Sigma refineries. So right away at Op 61, you can start to convert your traditional resources into Sigma resources. It starts at a very low amount. Say you're converting 24 trillion regular par steel up to about 48,000 Sigma par steel. That's not going to get you very far. But as this game has progressively bloated in how much resources we get, particularly if you're a heavy raider, we're probably all sitting on several trillions of this par steel, even at an Op 60 level. So being able to hit these chests and convert that regular materials back up into Sigma, once you got, to 61, basically all of your regular par steel needs are done. Maybe you want to hang on to your regular tritanium to max the G5 Epic. Excuse me. Or maybe you want to hang on to that regular dilithium to finish out your researches. But soon, and especially as you go into G6, you'll start regularly converting these in the Sigma refineries. The next big thing that has come out recently is the mastery artifact claims. Once you hit Op 61, all of these artifacts, what they offer is going to change. You're going to get G6 materials, G6 ship parts, G6 the Sigma resources, and you're going to immediately get Sigma speed ups. So depending on where you're at with the progression of that mastery artifact, you're going to be able to get a huge amount of those materials, resources, and parts and speed ups right away and start to be able to claim those every day with a simple button. No new grinds. You don't have to go there, go up to the 61 silent systems. You can immediately click a button and you're already going to do very well. All right. I guess we're going to talk about Sigma speedups now because, and I do want to ask you, Putz, right now, what did you think was your biggest hurdle? What was your biggest bottleneck? Why are you at Op 64 right now instead of Op 65? What is your current bottleneck now? What was your bottleneck as you went through those early ops?
Speed ups, and let me think of the third one. Oh yeah, speed ups. Yeah, that was it.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
Absolutely. Resources
nothing-
used to be the biggest pinch point, but definitely speed ups are now.
Yeah, just from the 10 chests of the Mark III, I am still eating off of those, and I haven't depleted all of those. And again, I'm 5 buildings away from Ops 55 or Ops 65. So for me, I was doing 3 runs a day in MU just to keep myself into speed up so I could keep my progression and keep going. Once I got to 64, I said, okay, I'm going to just keep doing these MU runs, but I'm not going to continuously spend them. I'm going to hold off for the weekend spend events for Matt. So if there's a weekend spend event this weekend, I'll probably go to 65. I might even get to 66, depending on how many speed ups I have. But it's not the mats. The
Indeed.
mats are not a problem.
So this is the a chart currently that I have up on the screen is the Sigma speedups where you're actually going to obtain Sigma speedups. This isn't all inclusive, but it is probably the major drips is what I would kind of say. And I've ordered it in order of quality, at least what it feels like to me subjectively. I have not tracked it hard enough to get hard data to tell you this one is better than this one, but just to kind of like show what you should be looking at, what you should be focusing your time in. Dailies are going to give you some Sigma speedups. They're never going to be great, but they're always a consistent source, particularly if you're actually finishing those dailies every time. Terran Faction also gives you some Sigma speedups, DTI Faction, your G6 Solar Armadas, and we'll talk about how to excel in those even as an Op 61. Your Continuum Refinery, that would be your Revenant, your Mastery Artifact Claims, your Transition Refinery, specifically through the Squall Strongbox. That is now the greatest single source for G6 players if you can get the Squall and get it leveled. So not really relevant for most free-to-play or low-spend players today, but is going to be the biggest source for all players as they build up that Squall. Ways to grind more, you can always convert it into Latinum. If you're G5 now and you're like, well, I don't ever care about speedups because I just convert it into Latinum, it's only a couple 100,000. I don't know what you're talking about. This is going to be a lot bigger of a problem in G6. And of course, we talked about the mirror universe. So moving on to the Latinum conversion, this is the biggest problem. Going up 1 day of speed up is 1.5 million Latinum. Now, a lot of our sources are also going to have an increase in Latinum, not only your packs, your multiphasics, but also your 730-day chests. So there is an increase in your Latinum income if you're a free-to-play player, but there's also going to be this big hurdle. If you do not have any speed ups and you want to use Latinum to convert, this is going to be your biggest bottleneck on Latinum, I think. One of the other sources for spending Latinum used to be, tiering up your alliance or officer XP or ship XP or faction credits. You may want to rethink how you're spending in those fields to save Latinum so that you can use them on the Sigma speedups alone. Here's a few charts just showing where you can get some Sigma resources. I'm just going to quickly breeze through these because they're not very valuable, as in they don't have a very high amount. But Section 31, Exborg, through the refit for the NX-01, the Monavine refit, the Mark II skin. And then, yes, the Revenant, which has a huge amount of both Sigma resources and 6-star materials. Now, the tier up gift, this is the evolution gift for getting to the last Mark, or Mark III, excuse me. So going from tier 10 and then evolving that, scrapping that. You can do that prior to hitting Op 61. You will not be able to progress the ship past that point if you're not Op 61 or above, but you can claim all of those evolution gifts, which is going to give you a huge jump start into G6, giving you some 6-star uncommon and rare materials, and including some Sigma resources. And then as you max that Revenant, which has a very aggressive timetable, it's very fast to progress that all the way to the max tier now. You can see that it's going to just give you 500,000 par steel on average a day. And I'm not talking on that calculator. You can't see which selections I'm showing, but I'm not showing, max pulling everything. I'm actually showing a little bit of reduced amount there. So this is a great resource to continue getting your resources and your materials. Not so much your Sigma speedups, but there do have some Sigma speedups in this. All right. Teaching on dailies specifically. Dailies change drastically from G5 and down to G6 and above, because you now have two different types of daily design. One is the hazard design. We'll talk more deeply about hazards in a little bit, but hazards are going to, you have to do some of these dailies within a hazard system, including kill hostiles and mining. We'll talk about hazards and why they're difficult to do right at Op 61, but there's definitely going to be some research and some other tools that are going to help you early on. The faction dailies directly at Op 61 and at 17 billion plus. Now remember, 15 billion is your previous G5 lock. 17 billion is the next faction rep up, and any player can reach that. But if you are above 17 billion and you've just hit Op 61, it's actually going to change to what we'd say is an accelerated model. If you just hit your level, it's going to take you 50 points or 50 hostile kills to finish your big daily. But if you have the ability to punch up and hit 62, 63, a couple levels higher than your ops range, you're actually going to have a major bonus in finishing those dailies faster. So it is a interesting mechanic that encourages you to punch up in level and requires you to do less. So the sweet spot is roughly 2 ops levels above, or even 3 ops levels above. And that's usually the system I try to target when I was completing my dailies through early to mid G5 or G6.
As we get ready,
G6 mining.
and I was just going to interject there very, very quickly, because we do have to take a break. And as we are getting ready to talk about the mining or the dailies and all the stuff that is included with the dailies, we are going to take a very quick break right on the other side, going through all of those, including the silence, crewing, the faction dailies, hazards, and so much more. We'll take a very quick break, and when we return, more from the Talking Track Laboratory on all of these and continuing your guide into G6. All right, we'll talk more about that as we return. We'll be back right after these words here on Talking Trek, the official podcast of Star Trek Fleet Command. We'll be right back.
In the starry night, where dreams collide, Ripper the OG takes us for a ride, with spreadsheets shining like diamonds in the sky. Jules Vern is vision, our goals multiply. Quasar running numbers, we're chasing the prize. In the depths of data, our potential will rise. So let's count the stars in this cosmic dance. With Blue Mandalorian, we'll take our chance. Chronox revealing all that we lack. Nenev and the crew, there's no turning back. Together we soar beyond what we see in this galactic world. We're forever free. Lightspeed adventures, we conquer the night. Diving through numbers, everything feels right. From the vast expanse to the heart of our dreams. With every connection bursting at the seams. Modding our journey with laughter and cheer. Community driven, feel the love, it's near. Through the trials we face, with each passing star, a galaxy of moments, we've come so far. Holding on tight as we navigate time, building our future. One number, one rhyme. So let's count the stars in this cosmic dance. With Blue Mandalorian, we'll take our chance. Chronox revealing all that we lack. Nenev and the crew, there's no turning back. Together we soar beyond what we see in this galactic world. We're forever free in the endless chart where our stories entwine. With Ripper, Jules, and the stars that align. A tapestry woven through numbers we find. In this cosmic journey, we leave fear behind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back in. Talking Trek is live, the official podcast of Star Trek Fleet Command. Our return music tonight provided by Viper. An absolute amazing testimonial and dedication to all of the data providers in Star Trek Fleet Command. That would be Jules and Ripper, Blue Mandalorian, Chronox, Nenev, Quasar, and so many more. An absolute testament to the Talking Trek lab rats and all of the data providers and the data scientists all throughout the entire community. You guys are amazing, fantastic, and you deserve the round of applause.
What a bunch of space nerds. I love them all.
I know. Isn't that great? Tarpy, that track was sent over to us by Viper and wanted to play it for all the nerds tonight, which I thought was really sweet. Wasn't it good? It was very poppy. Would you even call that, was that K-pop? Is that a
K-pop?
K-pop?
That's exactly where they, yes.
Yeah, K-pop.
I felt like it was good for your channel.
It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Viper. Appreciate you doing that as well. Yeah, sugary pop. So yeah, very. That Duder says that's just pop, not K-pop. Okay, I don't know.
I disagree.
Bubblegum pop. Bubblegum pop.
The Netflix movie. No, it's K-pop. It sounds right off of Demon Hunters.
That sounds off Demon Hunters.
Oh yeah,
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched it yet.
I am tortured by that movie daily. There's the 10-year-old kid that lives in the house. I'm the expert. Trust me.
Well, there you go. Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate you sticking with us. We are Talking Trek. I'm DJz. That's Griffin, and we've got Jules on the stage representing the entirety of the research team here at Talking Trek, giving you guys the entry information into G6. So right before the break, we had talked about all the resources, all the materials, all the places that you're going to find the stuff that you need, and how you're going to know when it's time to make that jump. But Jules, once you do, your task list changes. The dailies change, the mining changes, the hostels you have to hit changes. You're starting to play in hazards now, and I imagine that all sort of gameplay has some preparation involved with it as well, right?
Yes, indeed. And how to actually complete the dailies changes a lot too. So we kind of talked about how the hostile dailies change when you switch over to 17 billion plus. But let's kind of talk about mining. So I just wanted to point out here that this mining daily called Hazard Excavator, I can speak words easily, is 108,000. If we look at mining rates, particularly for, let's say, a G5 rare miner, this one's doing 6-star raw gas at 17,000, which would require 6 to 7 hours of constant mining to finish a daily. So yes, a G5 rare miner can bridge that gap for you, but it's really the Selkie that was designed for G6 mining. It has a massive mining laser bonus, so it's going to rip through these really fast. Plus, it's going to have warp range that kind of builds as you tier it up. Additionally, it's going to have some hazard resistance, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. So Selkie, definitely worth building. And I think some free-to-play would tell you build several, particularly just to kind of get your dailies done, but also kind of build up a large bank so you can start max pulling those materials refineries as soon as possible. Yes, you can mine raw Sigma. Don't do it. Not worth it. The refinery sucks. Yes, you can mine parts. And in fact, the mining rate of parts is actually pretty high. You do get a fair amount of parts, but do you really want to mine parts? Does anyone really want to mine parts? So, and most of those are in a hazard system. So if you don't have hazard resistance, it's really not worth it either. These are the faction dailies. I will remind you that your faction is actually increased. Both your reputation and your credits will increase because of syndicate level. So that's where you see the min and the max on this chart. They're going to vastly increase the minute you go to 17 billion. So if you're trying to grind out before, you try to grind to say 43 billion, so you can build a G6 uncommon, for instance, or even to 17 billion, well, it's going to be much faster to grind up to the 43 billion once you've actually hit that 17 billion mark. So I would say do not wait to hit Ops 61 if faction rep grinding is your main goal, particularly if you're going to spend all of that time in the mirror universe. You're going to want to, if you're going to spend all that time grinding, you may want to go hit some of the faction hostiles and get a huge amount of rep from those dailies as well. Silent chart, we kind of talked about it. Yes, there's some broken parts, and that may be the only thing that is really of value to players is those broken parts that you're actually going to get from the regular grind within the silent chart, silent hostile systems. And these are the web ranges. I will also say that these have mining nodes of all 3 types of materials, and they are the fastest 6-star mining nodes in the entire galaxy. Even a level 70 system has the same mining rate. So if you are looking for, particularly if your server protects token spaces, silent charts the silent hostiles are in a token locks system. So you can find really quick mining nodes. Use your Selkie that does not have a lot of protected cargo. Go ahead and max that out. That's going to really quickly finish your dailies and start to build up that bank. So if you're on a server who protects token spaces, silence is definitely a way to go. Use those tokens to at least get some mining done. Okay, understanding hazards. So here's the deal, and I think a lot of us players now have experienced hazards. Before it was just G5, but then, the Mirror Universe came out and the Ceres Invasion came out, and they kind of introduced us to some, and now everyone is dealing with that with the transigen space. So let's just break it down just a little bit here for you guys. The bottom figure where you see the target, that's the hazard damage the system is placing on you. The hazard resistance and the shield, that's how much hazard resistance you have obtained through research or through the, reminding me what the status globe. The status globe chaos tech can give you some hazard resistance. These 2 things counteract each other. So it is actually the amount of damage you get is 1% per 5 seconds. So if you're in a system that has 100% damage, hazard damage, and you have 0 resistance, you're going to get 1% of your hull immediately stripped every 5 seconds. Now that tick rate changes in transition space, but it doesn't really matter. The result is the same. How much time you have left in the system is going to be the same. Here's a few examples. If you have over the resistance amount, then the hazard damage, you'll survive infinitely. However, in our last example, if you're going into a 5,000%, like the epic transition space, or like the protector space in Mirror Universe, you're going to die in 10 seconds or less. So, or in the transition space, at least 20 seconds or less. Increasing your hazard resistance and getting that number closer is going to buy you more time in that system. 6 minutes versus 28 minutes is a much different type of grind, and it also makes mining actually doable, particularly with a Selkie who can get maybe your dailies done in about an hour or less. Maybe you can get enough hazard resistance to just barely get there so that you can send the Selkie in there. Yes, it's going to die, but you're going to complete your daily, and it's going to be sent home for you before somebody comes and steals your cargo. I think the two biggest things, there is a Prime at Op61. I do not recommend anyone go for that Prime. It is currently not free to play because it uses 7-star material. And then there is a lot of other a lot of other hazard research, but the big one is the Status Globe. It is a chaos tech that can be maxed out at 200% hazard resistance. If you can access that free to play through the Transigen loop, then you will have a much better time in early G6 dealing with these hazards or just negating them fully. So yeah, these are all the charts, all the dailies, what kind of systems you can access in a 100% system. Corfit, QORFIT, is the lowest hazard system that has crystal and gas. So it's the easiest one to get your early dailies done. Some hazard research. There are some that are specific to the type of hazard damage you're going to receive. There are some that are specific if you actually have a specific ship. So for instance, the Selkie has adapting skin research. As you tier it up, it's actually a prerequisite for the research. So the higher tier Selkie, the higher you can take that research up, giving you more hazard resistance. And there is some that is also dependent on owning and tiering a G6 uncommon ship. So that is some of the debate around G6 uncommon, is actually getting that. And then we also have there's a new section here in your combat tree that has that uses rare hazard particles, which mainly come from your G6 solar armadas. Once you hit G6 and you are a free-to-play player or a player who does not spend very much, there's a bunch of primes that will unlock. And as we discussed, you're not really going to deal with needing mats for that early upgrading. So you can kind of go back and hit a lot of these. I will say the tributes nowadays does not really have any effect, even up to level 5. Doesn't really give you that much of a boost in your reputation or even your credits. But there's some other good things in here, including Armada vulnerability can give you some extra combat against armadas. Some other things here and there. Definitely Defiant Force. You definitely want more use of your Defiant against assaults. That's a highly valuable prime. Okay.
What's an assault?
It's something that comes with a pepper. Planning ahead. So I think we've kind of gone through most of the, hey, here's the shock load. This is the information I needed to know once I hit Op 61 or as I'm thinking to go to Op 61. And as Putz is kind of showing here, it's pretty easy to get through those early tiers. So let's talk about starting at Op 63 and above. What is the strategy that you're going to start thinking about now in both the ship choices that you make and also how you're going to progress through G6? So quick chart here of ops progression, kind of showing you some of the tier locks, warp ranges, and how that kind of the scale of the cost kind of changes as you go up. You can get easily to 62 without spending any rare materials on your base, easily through 63 into 63 as well. Starting 64 is where you're actually going to start require some rare materials. So it's going to be pretty quick if you can get that uncommon through the various sources to get through 63 up to 64. But I think my big thing that I wanted to kind of promote here is there's been a lot of specialty ships that have come out or have seen relevance in G6 since the last year. So I kind of wanted to walk through these, and we're going to spend a little bit more time going through these last few slides here with you folks, just to kind of like get deeper into these strategies here. So specialty ships uses in G6. The Protector. yes, it's very fast, but it doesn't have even though it can continue to tier while you're in G6, it's not very strong. So it's not even better than a G5 Epic for most uses outside of Protector space. It can be really useful in arenas, but I think it has still a very limited use, particularly in mid G6. The Eviscerator, you really need to have that near max for it to be any use at all. It is just a taxi. It has no real other use. Serene Squall, there is, and actually, Griffin, you can answer this. How are the mining sweeps? Do you use the Serene Squall to finish your faction mining?
Not often. I usually use my Squall for the epic transigen. I'd rather bring a rare G6 or even the uncommon G6.
And then you would do that on your regular materials to finish those mining dailies?
Correct.
So there is mining sweeps within the Serene Squall research tree that were meant to kind of be freebooter-esque. Like, hey, let's wrap up this. You don't have to do mining. All you have to do is mine some transigen. But I think it's both the amount of transigen that it's asking you to mine, but also the pure fact that you have to go mine transigen it's still mining something. So I don't think that the Serene Squall really helps in that regard
It's a
at
good
all.
amount that you have to mine. So I haven't broken the habit of the old way.
The real benefit of the Serene Squall is the Sigma speedups that you get in the strong box, and those grow over time. So take a look at the Serene Squall. I don't have a chart on this presentation, but there'll be a link to the Squall that will be in this sheet in a little bit. The Reliant has a huge shield and hull at max, but it really doesn't have a lot of DPR to take on any hostiles that aren't the augment loop. However, the Reliant kind of gives you the access to all of the augment trees, so I don't want to displace the Reliant in its use, but it's not going to replace anything for you in G6. The Vindicator is your Armada tank. It can easily kill G6 Armadas, but what you'll find out in a little bit, anything can easily kill G6 Armadas. I killed a G6 Armada with a Saladin. So does the Vindicator have any use in G6? The one saving grace is that it does actually have max hazard resistance. You can get it up to 500% hazard resistance, meaning that you could use it to go hit hostiles, particularly if you're more of an AFK player. Setting it up there, hitting a few hostiles, it could potentially hit those hostiles once it's a higher tier, but we all know how long it takes to tier up that Vindicator. Now we start getting to ships that actually can replace your G6 faction warships. The Revenant is fast, it's strong, doesn't have a high DPR, but does have a high shield and hull, and can actually kill most G6 armadas. So if we're talking about G6 content alone, that Revenant can kill the hostiles, it can kill the armadas. There's not much in G6 content that the Revenant can't handle on its own. So I believe, and particularly it's also very good in PvP because of how fast it is, that it can easily replace a G6 uncommon. That's just a personal opinion, not an objective reality. The relativity, very similar. Huge shield and hull, getting up to 20 billion in power. And it also does have a good amount of DPR, which can make it very useful for the things that you've been using your G6 rare for, including high tier credit information armadas. I mean, what are the hardest targets to hit in this game? DJz, Griffin, any panelist? What are the hardest targets to hit right now?
For me,
Well, for me,
it's
it's the
just
green.
getting to the damn.
I was gonna say, for me, it's hazards. Like I can kill most of what I go after, but I just don't last very long because the hazard is doing more damage than the hostile.
Well, I would say the invading entities and the credit information armadas are currently the hardest targets in the game.
Yeah.
And the relativity is specifically on that. Matters, did you have another example of a difficult target, single target?
No, I mean those were the two I was thinking of. Anything that's new has been really challenging. Obviously, these aggregate hostiles very hard. Even the like the Exiles pack a punch, but I mean we've got the Reliant for those, which will eventually be able to take them all out. But yeah, as far as single target, I would say both the Krenum formation and invading entities are probably the hardest.
From the chat, we're seeing high level exiles. So yes, I do believe the relativity can hit those 68s pretty easily. 70s are a different beast amongst themselves. And the cons champion nightmare. It'd be very interesting to take a max relativity and try to kill those cons champion nightmares. We have seen that it takes roughly a tier 11, tier 12 G6 epic ship to kill those nightmare champions. But that's a great thing to test with their high tier relativity, potentially a max relativity or a max GS31 ship too.
I'll do that right now and get back to you.
Okay, take your GS31. I'm actually curious to see if that one would work. GS31 is by far the best G6 ship, except for Max Cube. That is the only other specialty ship, because the Cube is still a specialty ship. The Max Cube still is the beast of this game. It can still kill Griffin's Vengeance. But the GS31 is definitely more accessible free to play, because getting to that max tier at board cube is just a huge mountain to climb. It's not just the climb to 70, but it's the climb to max G6 epic. It takes so long. So the GS31 has a lot of benefits. It's easier to attain. It's faster to max. Does not require a lot of G6 materials to get there. It has very high DPR. The beam is incredibly useful. It can complete your dailies for you. The 500% hazard resistance also means that it can complete your hazard dailies very easily. The beam also kills the level 70 Gorn, and it can kill a lot of other loop hostiles just beaming them 5 at a time. You can get a ton of these events done on a daily basis with a max GS31. It is a fantastic ship. I know we joked a lot about the Junker when it first was released, but I gotta say that ship has really found a life of its own once it hits this high tier level in G6. Any other commentary about the GS31?
Best ship in the game. Except for maybe the Cube.
Especially if you have 2 of them, right, DJs?
Sorry, I'm choking.
So yes, and just to point out that to max it, you do need to get to Op 67, but that's really where it comes to life of its own. So if you have been earning relativity parts and you've been upgrading your relativity, even as a player who purchased the relativity on day 1 of release, who has not purchased any upgrade packs, I'm not max on relativity yet, but we are seeing ship parts in event stores now for the relativity, so you can accelerate that path. We are seeing cost efficiency exocomps released. GS31 is still too new to see that stuff in, but I bet in a few months that we'll start to see those ship parts in event stores and those cost efficiencies available in some places. So look towards those 2 ships as your G6 replacements, meaning that you may not have to build a G6 uncommon. Here's a small chart showing you that DPR difference between all of these ships. And I've included some of the faction ships and the board cube and the shield health and whole health combined. The Reliant and the Relativity are just off the charts with their shield health and whole health, which can really build up those rounds and allow you to use specialty crews to kind of like add damage per round to kind of continue to work up to those. But the GS31 with that super high DPR at base is just a massive, massive powerhouse. So it's not going to have as much ship power as a relativity, but boy, that thing's going to take out the relativity day in, day out. And I've seen screenshots of a GS31 take down a Vengeance. So it is still very valuable in PvP, especially in arena combat. So a year ago matters. I'm so glad you're here on the stage, because a year ago we had a debate over whether or not to skip the G6 uncommons. And you built a Negvar and you have no regrets about that. What was the advice that you would give now to players about the G6 uncommons?
Oh God, it's so different now. If you're, I mean, I still stay like if you ignore the specialty ships and just how powerful they are, and the fact that they have maxed hazard resistance, I'd still say PvE players are it would do them well to look at getting an uncommon. Having that extra hazard resistance is just amazing for your game. It just allows you to get more done in a smaller amount of time with fewer warps, fewer repairs. It's awesome. Not great at PvP. You're not going to win arenas flying uncommons against people with rares, but you can easily skip the rare if you wanted to, if you and ride your G6 uncommon all the way to 70. I've done it. I'm there. I'm just waiting for G7 to unlock before I hit the button and hop to 70, because I don't know if I'm going to want an epic or not, depending on what G7 looks like. But now that we have these specialty ships that are super strong, faster, and have 500% hazard resistance, it's maybe not as important, or it won't matter as much to build the uncommon. And like, to be perfectly honest, it might not be as important to build any faction ships. You could skate by on the specialties.
What matters.
I think that is the biggest point to bring up there, Matters. I'm sorry, I didn't want to intrude. What were you saying, Putz?
You're fine. I said, Matters, that is exactly the question that I am dealing with right now. My GS and my Revenant are not at ops. They are lacking because, you know, if I did this 3 months from now, they would be ready to go, right? So my question is how far am I going to get before these specialty ships are ready to go and be ready for prime time in G6? And can I do that with my G5 Epic? Like, I'm seriously considering not worrying about my cube and going all the way to 70 without building a faction ship.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Why not? And if your GS31 is ops locked all the way up, and you're 60 with an ops locked GS31, I don't even think you need to build a G5 Epic anymore. Use that in like for the starter G6.
Does
use the GS31.
Does the Junker replace the cube though?
What would you
I
use
don't
the cube
know.
for that you can't use the Junker for?
Yeah.
I have no
But
idea.
I will say
I'm
there
gonna
is other opinions here in the chat. Zero G's, another content creator, was saying that they have no regrets getting their uncommon and taking it to tier 9. Their cube flies around and does everything now, and it's not terrible in PvP. That is true. The cube in G6 is actually where it really takes a life of its own and becomes better than any faction warship you may have in your arsenal, particularly if you've just achieved the GS31 free to play. So right now, if you have a low tier GS31, you're not looking to get that GS31 very high. Currently, Putz, you're 64. You've got that ability to build that G6 uncommon and get your cube up. Maybe that makes sense to you, and it does look like it's making sense to some of our chat players. But we're also seeing a lot of advice that says, hey, skip all faction warships until you get to op 70 as well, because the GS31 can just literally do anything.
Especially with the C12 stasis globe helping you with the hazards slapped on there.
Yeah, I'm really kind of just riding this and going, okay, I'm going to keep on pushing ops every weekend and see how far I can get, because, you know, how much resources is going to take to get a to get a rare to tier 9? How many of those resources could I be putting into and get to 70 sooner and then build that?
Absolutely. And it's more thinking about your broad range of tools here, right? You're not just thinking about only using the GS31. Like that's not the only specialty ship you're going to be building in G6. The Revenant actually does have a very fast upgrade time. And as we were saying, this is highly recommended to get that thing and get it up past tier 11, or get that evolution done early so that G6 entry point can be really fast. Once that Revenant is maxed, it's actually not bad in early G6. It can be the bridge ship that takes you to Ops 67, or the Relativity with its extreme warp range can also help you be a bridge ship until you get to that Ops 67 prerequisite to finally max that GS31.
Yeah, my rev is a naked Mark III tier 10. And for the last 5 days, I wanted to see, well, is this ready for prime time? So I have been using it exclusively to hit all of and do all of my faction dailies, to do everything, including I did a loot crew on that on a 65 uncommon G6 solo, and I did 4 of them in a row and took more damage from the hazard than I did from the armada. So it's ready.
Indeed. So that is one of the reasons that we kind of pointed out was the G6 for building a G6 uncommon was hazard resistance. There is a research note that is a tier requirement for the ship that can help any of your other ships gain an additional 50, 80% of extra hazard resistance. But there's also specialty ships. And as we talked about, the status globe, which is a huge addition into this game, giving a boost of 200%. So there's ways around that reasoning now, 1 year later, whereas a year ago, that was probably the primary reason. Moving into G6 solo FK armadas. So this is new G6 content for you. This is these are same FK armadas that you've had before. However, they are solo. You can bring up to 3 ships. You can see they start at warp 1200. Warp 900 for the uncommons and the early. So 900 for the uncommons and 1100 for the rares and 1200 for the epics. What I would say is we're going to show a few screenshots of some success that kind of show what is the lowest ship that you need, or what are some successful ships that you can have as an Ops 61 player punching up on these solar armadas. Here's the loot table real quick, and then I'll just kind of breeze right past this since you can kind of go back to this loot table, but showing that you can get G6 rare materials and some rare and regular hazard particles through that. So here is a max G5 epic, easily handling a level 68 uncommon, using a loot crew nonetheless. So a big reason to not have to worry about the warp range here. So it looks like this one probably required the disco with some warp range research to get up there. But once it did, it had no problems with battle capability. If you do not have a max G5 epic and you're using a specialty ship instead, here is a specialty ship, the Revenant. Like I said, that bridge ship. Now this one took a little bit more damage against a 68 uncommon, but just to show that you don't actually need to have a G5 epic maxed. You don't need to wait. Once you get that Revenant up, it can be a helpful bridge ship as you're going through the tiers. And then lastly, that relativity, man, it is a beast of a ship. And especially since you can max that ship right at Ops 61, here is a Ops 63 player taking their tier 13 relativity up and absolutely smashing a rare 69. That is the highest. That is the biggest rare FK armada that you can do. By doing this, you're going to be able to max pull those rare, those epics, and those uncommon armada chests and maximize your pulls out of those. When FK armadas first launched, oh boy, it was difficult. It was difficult to be able to max pull those. Nobody was doing it. Everyone was pulling doubles at best, or if they're buying directives. Here is an immediate source to get a bunch of loot early on to start being able to max that. So, and I don't have the screenshot in front of me now, but maybe I can find it as we get into the final thoughts. But I do have one with a Saladin killing a G6 FKR soloed armada, just to kind of show where that kind of power bloat has gone in this game. Matters, do you have any specific crewing advice? I know that most of these screenshots have just been loot crew. Would you suggest that for, say, an Ops 61 player with maybe a smattering of G5 and G5 Ops lock ships?
Obviously, any time that you can use the loot crew, especially if you're able to solo it with a single ship, that's ideal because you will get more loot. That's why we use it. Other than that, I mean, they are armadas, so you're looking at armada crews. Janeway, Dr. Gwen is a very strong crew, or Chakotay, Dr. Gwen, to ramp up your shots and get your crits up really, really fast. If you need to take 2, then whatever your favorite kind of secondary um, armada crew is, whether it's like Cisco Miles, DeJosh, or something to increase shots and get your mitigation up. That's a decent crew. These armadas do have a little bit of isolytic damage output, so anyone below decks to beef up your ISO defense will help. Joachim or whatever, Hakeem. Or Pelia. Other than that, it's pretty much your basic kind of armada lineup. So get hull breach, get burning, get morale on your ships if possible, and swing for the fences.
Yeah. Star 88 suggests that these systems actually have 500% hazards, making these very difficult to hit for early G6 players. And I don't discount that because you're not going to last very long in these systems. That's where Armada speed ups, bringing your disco into the systems, if you can get that disco warp range into there to kind of like get the Armada started, or a scout ship that has the warp range available, potentially your Revenant, to kind of go in there, start the Armada, and then have your relativity kind of enter the circle at the very last second to kind of get in there. You can see in this screenshot, Beam Me Up Scotty actually has quite a bit of black in his hull bar. I bet you that is the hazard damage that they received prior to that Armada actually going off. So they may be only able to get a couple of Armadas per warp trip up to this system. But that still is a massive loot gain to be able to punch up in those Armadas, and maybe worth it taking that extra hazard damage. So there's some tools around the hazard, not just Chaos Deck, but just working the timer, working the clock a little bit, and doing those speed ups. So I think we're kind of near the end here, and we made some great time. I think this is a great video for people to kind of reference, and we'll put some timestamps into each of these charts. So if you have a specific question about a specific thing, you can kind of reference these areas of these videos to kind of go back, take a look at some charts, click some links, whatever you need to do. One of the last things is I did not see Tarpy on the stage, but this was their panelist added advice, was looking at X-Borg credits. So the material exchange and the uncommon material exchanges change to G5 and G6. And so the G4 is gone out of that. So a good new source of G6 if you've been building up those uncommon export credits. And additionally, there is a G6 epic pull as well, which can give you even more Dolomites if you're still working on those primes, and also some other G6 materials. Bajoran is kind of dead once you hit G6. There's not really much there for G6 players. And then they've also pointed out the Alliance building Efficiency XO, Transition building XO, and the mirror research. So this is a big one. There's a lot of Sigma building researches that you may have not cared about when you're working on your mirror research tree, because it wasn't relevant to you when you were working on that research tree. It's a good time to go back before getting into Op 61, see where you're at with those researches, and maybe try to max those out as soon as possible. And then the last thing I'll say is you're entering a new generation. There's missions everywhere. A lot of them will drop a significant amount more faction reputation, raw materials, raw Sigma, than what we saw in G5. So they're going to be definitely worth it to try to, enjoy and explore and kind of complete those missions as you can.
And don't forget the augment favors. There are a lot of them that are Sigma only or G6 only that you can't actually do until you get to Op 61. They are actually op. So they pop up when you go to 61, and you all of a sudden have 10 more favors that you have to that you can do. So Wrath credits.
Indeed. And this is a nice little thing that was actually created by one of our lab members, Muffins. This is their specific income ratios, showing how the GS31 is a major source of rare ship parts, but also showing some of these other parts in here that kind of show by, if you take all these resources and divide it by how much you're getting per day. Spock's Ritual Gong is that's one of the master artifacts that gives ship parts, is a huge resource in there. Also, here's materials. And they've been doing a lot of conversions into the particular type of material they wanted. And that's been a big portion of that income of that material. So definitely conversions are not something to avoid either. So yeah, that's that kind of concludes all of the charts I was going to present. I would like to take the time now to kind of just chat through what people's final thoughts are. What is our general advice, not just for early G6, and we maybe want to segment our opinions here. What's our general advice for people entering G6, thinking about entering, getting in there, getting through the first few ops levels? And then what's our long-term advice? What should people be planning for throughout all of this? I don't know if DJs, you wanted to start with that advice.
You know, I love a lot of what you guys did here, and this is phenomenal. I was taking some notes even myself. For example, taking a look at the relativity as it pertains to some of those big armadas. That's not something that I had ever thought about. And I saw one of the questions in chat. So really what you're saying is all you got to do is buy all the specialties and invest into them. Well, all the specialties eventually become free. We are talking about, players that are entering G6 at this point, which is 2 years old at this point. So we're not necessarily offering advice for a lot of specialty ships. The Reliant has now hit its free-to-play mark. The Junker has hit its free-to-play mark. The Relativity has hit its free-to-play mark. So all these ships have surpassed that typical 100-day timer, whether it was slightly more, slightly less. Those have become available to free-to-play players at this point. And as mentioned on that one particular chart, their speed of progression was factored into whether or not their efficacy is good. For example, the Vindicator, while it does have some great capabilities, Shiz will be the first to tell you that's what he's been singing about for a year. The Vindicator is painfully slow. That reduces its effectiveness when you talk about it being a potential G6 ship replacement. On the other hand, you look at the Junker, which is one of the best ships in the game and has a remarkably fast upgrade speed. So when you look at you've hit the free-to-play mark on the Junker. I'm just curious, in the chat, somebody who did wait the 100 days, Putz, I believe you did. What is the tier of your Junker? I know that you've hit the timers, you worked the clock, you unlocked the ship right at the free-to-play anniversary date. What tier is your Junker now that you've been working it?
It's the only ship of the specialty ships that I don't hoard the parts and wait for an event. Mine is just now, probably a day ago, maybe tier 7.
So Zero says tier 6 on his. Shiz says same thing. Free to play Junker just went tier 7 today for me. So Strider saying tier 6 for him. So I mean, it's a pretty quick ship, and given that everybody here, not only in chat but on the panel and from the lab, are saying that the Junker might be the best ship in the game other than the Borg Cube, that is absolutely something that doesn't require spend, doesn't require investment from anybody who would be entering that point here. So I love that. Relativity, also not the fastest thing in the world, but certainly not slow. I've worked my Relativity free to play. I've never spent any on the parts. I did acquire the ship before the 100 days, but my Relativity myself now is a tier 12. All right. So I'm actually looking forward to kind of giving that a shot. I had never considered using the Relativity against those high armadas. And so I would turn the question back around to you, Jules. Being that the Relativity for me is a tier 12, does it actually become useful? You showed a screenshot of it against that rare. Could I use a tier 12 Relativity against the epics? Because my cube actually struggles there.
No, I definitely think it could be useful there, particularly if you're using all the tools. And I'll remind people, even the Defiant is useful against these armadas. So Defiant, Max Fortify, your Cerritos, using your Exos, your Lorca's Fist, all of these tools can help amplify any ship, including the Relativity, to make it worthwhile against even the highest level of our G6 armadas. And I would also say, like, this Relativity that we're seeing in this screenshot from that took down that 69 rare, it's powerful enough to take down a lot of hostiles, even new hostiles that we are seeing in the game, including the chasers, the Suluban chasers in transition space. So I think it's got a lot of capability. Plus, it has a huge cargo. You know, how many people are using their specialty ships in the mirror universe? Because their cargo is just so much more massive, they can take home a bunch more ship parts before they die. So I'm using my GS31 in mirror universe, but a lot of players can be using their relativity even at a lower tier than tier 12, say tier 11, and they'll be able to actually have some success in the mirror universe more than they could with a G6 ship.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. Some questions in the chat asking about your presentation. For those in the podcast listening audience, we have put every single slide into our place, the actual Google presentation in the graphics room as well, and that will be available for you to view and to share and to learn from and to reference back over the next several months. But and I saw someone mention this earlier, probably about an hour ago on the show, that we did this show a year ago. But it's remarkable how things have changed. Even it was nice to hear Matters now finally at least give pause on the G6 Uncommons. Maybe not necessarily still recommending to 100% build it, but I do remember that conversation, Jules, where he was die hard build it. At least now you do have options. There are still pros and cons to building those G6 ships. So you have other options now. The game has changed, Jules. So to answer your question, even as a squishy Op 70, there are changes within G6 now that can still benefit some of us as compared to what we were looking at a year ago, 2 years ago. And for those of you approaching G6, there's a lot more information available now. So that was a great presentation by the Teaching Trek Lab. Thank you guys so very much. Tarpy for putting the whole thing together.
There will be a condensed link in the Discord for you guys tomorrow to share with your alliance as well, to send them off to YouTube and see probably about a 15-minute version of that. So look out for that in the morning.
That's fantastic. So yeah, I'd love to go around the rest of the panel, Jules, for your final questions.
I just want to give a quick platitude because I did see a few people out there probably trolling that said, don't go into G6 in the first place. It's camp. Don't camp. The game really opens up and it's at its best when you're playing the current content, and that is currently G6. So if you have any reservations out there, can I do it? Should I wait? Do I have enough of this? Do I have enough of that? Jump off the bridge. There is a safety net below. It's nowhere near like it was, as was the case in G4 and G5, to where you have a real problem and you really struggle if you push the button for 60
but all of
go for it.
And all of these generations were all painful at the start, but they do adjust over time. Scopely is notorious for making something painful at the leading edge. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know why any of us actually do it because it is always painful. But those things do progress in such a way of that gameplay becoming much more reasonable and becoming normal as time goes on. So I think that there is certainly less risk and less fear, at least starting G6. You want to push 70, then there's still some tricks there. There's still some catch points, but to start your G6 journey.
Listen to the Gospel of Putz. Look how long he's been there and look how far he's come. Come on.
For sure.
Yeah, I want to say that Griffin, that was a really good segue into what I wanted to say, and that is the game is fun again for me. Let me say that again. The game is fun for me again. It wasn't really all that fun the last 6 months. Like it really got boring. And now that I'm in G6, I'm actually having a lot more fun. There's a lot more interesting things to do. I'm not feeling pain. To quote a movie, "Come on in, boys. The water is fine."
So you like hazards? I just wanted to reinforce.
I did.
Ha!
Yeah, I did.
Look, Woody writes in the chat right now, Jules for the win. Holy cow, my junker just took out a 68 uncommon G6 solo armada. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. All right. So,
Put your
Jules,
crew in that you use, by the way. I want to know what crew you did that with. It's really good, Woody.
yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking to Putz. Woody, yeah, throw your crew up in the chat. That would be great. Jules, you had a couple other questions for some of the other panelists as we get ready to wrap up.
No, I think it matters. Should we get your point of view on just advice into G6?
Just have fun with it. Like Putz said, I felt exactly the same when I went into G6. It took the game from being stagnant and same old, and it threw in a lot of challenges, like hazards, some new stuff to deal with. The dailies changed; shook them up a little bit. The G6 armadas, once they plunked those in, which was shortly after I hit G6, I believe, they were really interesting and fun to play with. So yeah, just like have fun with it. Do what you think is best, and enjoy it. It's like a whole different game, and it's lots of fun. Don't sit and wait forever before stepping into G6. You'll be thankful, and you'll have a good time.
The game is at its best in its current generation. No doubt about it.
I also wanted to say that I have actually done. I've documented my journey. I've done it in a what you would call a case study type of format. And I am 22 days in because I started at day minus 10 on the preparation. But I will continue filling that out at least until I get to 66. But I will post it in the graphics room and continually update that as we go along.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate that. Without any other final thoughts from the panel, Karkin, what's your ops level now? You've been quiet tonight, but I'm curious. I know that you have been intentionally kind of holding back your gameplay to take advantage of some of the leaderboards and some of the officer sourcing and so forth that you've got there. What are your thoughts now as we are looking upon the 2-year anniversary of G6? What is your position now, and what are your thoughts about progression?
You guys are about to leave the bracket I'm going to have to get into, so hurry the heck up. Go. Yeah.
He's like, hurry up and get out of there so I can hop in. All right, fantastic.
By the way, leave your nice furniture.
Okay, yeah, I hate moving. All right, you've got it. Let me just ask the chat if they have any other final questions for Jules or any of the other panelists real quick as we get ready to wrap up our show tonight. Great condensed teaching. Really appreciate that. And look at that. It didn't even take 4.5 hours. I think that's a win. It's because I shut up. It's because I sat back and I muted myself. That's what I did. I was just lived on mute tonight.
There was one question about G6 solo waves and when the Junker actually becomes relevant enough to kind of take down those G6 without requiring other G6 ships. And to be honest with you, right now with the Junker at max, not only can it beam the level 70 hostiles, there's also the mere particles, which become free to play through the Ferengi event store that allows you to max that research node that gives you 2 extra on the central entity, meaning you can take 5 hits of damage. Now, non-G6 ships, let's say specialty ships, let's focus on those, maybe a G5 max, can easily get to wave 3, but they're going to start to struggle in wave 4 and then definitely die in wave 6 without having a G6 epic. It becomes very difficult in wave 5. So my strategy, use the beam, use the GS31 to actually do most of the killing. It's going to run around and kill and allow some of those hits to go into your base, because you got to remind yourself, you got 5, you got at least 4 hits to your base that can actually do that. So I believe that a GS31, and Magoo is right, you do need Op 70 in order to max that research that gives the beam the extra oomph. But again, if that maxed GS31 at Ops 67 can actually kill 1 or 2 of those level 70 hostiles, then you can let the other hostiles hit the central entity. So I do believe that you could probably do it with just specialty ships. I don't think you need G6 ships to actually defeat a G6 solo elite.
Do have a question regarding your dailies, Jules. Chris asked, does hitting 17 billion rep raise the hostile level required for dailies regardless of your ops? In other words, can you lock yourself out if you hit that reputation level even as early as G5?
No, the reputation stays tiered to your to the reputation itself, even past 17 billion if you are not G6. So if you're an Ops 60, it's going to remain hitting Ops 6 or level 60 ships until you are able to hit Ops 61. That is when the dailies actually shift to being based on Ops versus based on the reputation level.
Oh, that's a departure from what it did in G4,
Yeah.
even down in G3. I didn't actually know that myself. Good question, Chris. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Well, with that, we will bid you guys adieu for tonight. It was a wonderful episode. Thank you very much to Jules and the Lab Rats for putting everything together for us tonight. Thank you to all of the team for putting everything together. Tarpy was having some audio issues tonight, but I saw her active in chat, and I send you her love on behalf of Tarpitude and the rest of the production team. Thank you guys so very, very much for being a part of our live studio audience here at Talking Trek. This G6 presentation brought to you by Jules Vern and his amazing team of collaborators and data collectors. And you guys should say thank you and a big round of applause for all of them as well for putting everything together for you. We invite you to visit our website at TalkingTrekSTFC.com. That's TalkingTrekSTFC.com, where you can find links to our YouTube channel, where this will be a condensed teaching video on YouTube here within only hours, and something hopefully that remains somewhat timeless. And you'll be able to come back and review this later on, as we know that most of G6 is now pretty much locked. We are approaching the 2-year anniversary, so obviously the 2-year anniversary, therefore, of G6. So we all expect G7 right around the corner. When that happens, nobody knows, but we have seen the full evolution of G6 at this point, and now you should have this guide that will carry you through G6 whenever it is that you decide to get there. Also, from our website, you'll find links over to our merchandise store. Be sure to click on !Ghost or !Amazon to do your shopping and get all of your stuff from our sponsors there. And we thank you for using those links, as they do support our channel here. You can also find links over to our Patreon, where we've got special exclusive shows from our Studio B channel, which we will be broadcasting live this weekend. No show tomorrow because we will be hanging out at Football Friday night, but we'll be back with you this coming weekend. Sadly, Griffin, Mama DJz was unable to make the trip. So,
No, I was gonna ask. Oh, what a shame.
unable to make the trip. So we will carry our normal weekend schedule with you guys. Taffman says, what, no hints this evening? What kind of hints do you want?
No hints.
Wait,
no
what?
Hints,
What?
no
No,
hints,
I'll give a
hints,
hint.
no
What
hints.
hint do you want? I think this entire, you know what? We used to do this a lot more than we do anymore, but this entire show was a hint. The entire show, everything,
I just hit a hint.
Yeah, just hit a hint. All right, yeah, that's right, Luke. I gave you a hint. I did indeed. All right, so we thank all of you. How many new currencies are we getting next week?
It's a clue.
Actually, you know what? I'll tell you. I am.
7.
You know what? No, I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it. I'm not biting on that. Omicron. There's at least like 18. All right, that's it. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. My name is UltimatDJz. He's Griffin, and you've been listening to Talking Trek, a registered trademark and recorded in front of a live studio audience for distribution across podcast platforms everywhere. I'm your friendly neighborhood cat person saying meow for now. Love you, minute. We'll catch you on the next one. Good night, everybody. Appreciate you. See you later. And with that, we are out on podcast. So thank you guys so very much. Appreciate it. We're going to get ready to raid over on our YouTube channel. I believe I saw, or on the Twitch channel, I believe I saw that Scribbler was getting ready to hop online. I believe that she actually did, so we might bounce on over there for you guys to hang out over there a little bit. Wow. You know what? We don't ever get to raid into Hippie's channel, so why don't we do that this evening? Hippie's over there playing Halloween horror games, and she's got a Halloween cosplay on, so we'll raid over there. We don't get to raid into her channel that often. She usually streams earlier. So in lieu of Scribbler tonight, we get a very special treat for you, a raid target that we never actually get to go see, and I am pleased to introduce you to my friend OG Little Hippie, as she is she's dressed up as a minion today. I ruined.
She won the puzzle contest. Didn't she?
She won the puzzle contest. That's right. So you guys go over there, do some chaos, do some silly things, have a lot of fun over there. She's playing a spooky game. I think she's playing Little Hope from the Dark Pictures anthology. Very spooky, scary games that she's doing for the month of October. So you guys have a lot of fun with that. My name is DJz. That's Griffin, and we love you. We'll see you on the next one. Good night, everybody.
R.I.P. Bambi.